we just got into it at the restaurant because I asked him, tell me something about your last name that makes your last name worth passing on.
So it's okay for a man to ask a woman on dates that what do you bring to the table? Or it's okay for a man to ask a woman, let's make children, let's have kids. And when you ask a man, like, why do you want to have kids with me? They tell you, I want to continue my legacy. But it's not okay when a woman tell you that, what is it in your last name that will make me want to pass it on? So this lady asks a guy on the date, what is it in your last name that will make you want to pass this your last name on to the children and also have my last name changed? You know what he did? He left her on the dates. Let's watch this video and reaction, then I'll share my thoughts at the end of the
Y'all, we just got into it at the restaurant because I asked him, tell me something about your last name that makes your last name worth passing on. Like, I want to hear about the lineage. I'm walking by myself in the parking lot. Good day canceled.
She asked that man, what about your last name is worth passing down? Like, tell me about your lineage. And he left her at the dinner table. Imagine my surprise when I open up the comments and I see people saying, girl, I would have left you there too. That's a crazy question. That's a crazy question. Are y'all insane? If they were already talking about children in any capacity, that is a very valid question. Because when you ask men why they want children or why they want to be a father, 9 times out of 10, they be like, oh, I want to pass down my legacy. They all say that same thing. We don't live in a time anymore where your firstborn son is going to become king. So she's asking him, like, you know, what is it that we're passing down? And he got upset because the question is thought provoking. And men get defensive about this question because they don't have anything to pass down. Y'all don't have so much as a life insurance policy that would insure your kids some money if you pass away. So even if you don't have a father in your life or you don't have a lot of things in your family that are worth being passed down, then you should have just said it starts with you. I'm breaking the generational curses. I'm breaking the generational trauma. I am college educated. I have learned about life insurance policies. And when my child turned 18, I've got real estate and things like that, things that can go into their name when they become of age. But this is the thing, when we're talking about having children, which is a very serious subject that y'all try to act like it's not, that's a very serious subject. So we need to be talking about serious things when it comes to these kids. You want to have 3 sons to what? Try to get a lottery draft pick to go to the NFL and get us rich? No, let's already have something going on before the kids get here. What we got going on? Y'all be depending on y'all kids too much to try to live through them. No, you live life. You do something. What you got going on?
We just got into it at the restaurant because I asked him, tell me something about your last name that makes your last name worth passing on. Like, I want to hear about the lineage.
I thought that was a valid question. I didn't see anything wrong with it. And I'm surprised at the amount of people in her comment section that was mad at her for asking that question. And then people are trying to say it's the way how she asked the question. Like, what are we talking about? The only reason he got upset and walked away is because he doesn't have anything attached to his last name. And fellas, before you get defensive, I want you to think about this, because I've personally said this on my channel. If you ask a woman what she brings to the table and she gets upset because she can't answer the question, it's because she brings nothing to the table. And I think it's important for both men and women to have these real conversations when you're getting to know somebody, so you don't end up wasting your time. As long as you're not being rude or disrespectful, I don't think there's an issue with asking the right questions.
She asked that man, what about your last name is worth passing down? Like, tell me about your lineage. And he left her at the dinner table. Imagine my surprise when I open up the comments and I see people saying, girl, I would have left you there too. That's a crazy question. That's a crazy question. Are y'all insane?
Just my opinion. I just feel like if you don't want to give a child their father's last name, you shouldn't be having no kids with them. However, I just feel like people take having kids a little too lightly. That's just me. Also, we got to stop having these questions. You know, the last name, what do you bring to the table? Nah, the most important question you need to ask is about their credit score. Yeah, you ask about their credit score, then you got to look at it as like you trying to get a house or build a house. You can't get past nothing without knowing your budget. The planning and financing. Look at that credit. I'm talking about, we worried about passing on the last name. If that credit ain't right, the name means nothing to you. You can't even get nothing in your name. Imagine having a child with somebody that can't get nothing in their name unless they got a cosign. But the child got the mama last name, but the daddy name trash. He can't get none in his name, and if he do, he gotta pay a hefty ass deposit. Look, we gotta start talking about them finances first. Once you get that credit understood, then you can move on from there. What's the point of planning and trying to build for something you don't even know what your budget is? Or you trying to plan and build something, you find out that you can't even get a budget because the name bad.
Last name that makes your last name worth passing on.
I ain't gonna lie. When I first saw that video, I was like, who the she is? You feel what I'm saying? Like, what you mean what makes it worth? You know, I think we look at things from I gotta work on my truck. I think we look at things from a personal perspective, and me as a man, me particularly, I don't think anything about my last name makes it special. I don't think anything makes it worth anything because of the fact that the man who I'm named after my grandmother. I only have my grandfather's last name, but as far as my that tells you a lot about the kind of man that he was. He was a great man, but he was also a Rolling Stone. Also, so was my biological father. He was and still is a Rolling Stone. You know, he just found a woman that puts up with his rolliness. But so being from a bloodline of men who pretty much ain't shit, I've never valued my name anyway. Not to mention I'm a junior, so I'm named after somebody I don't even have a relationship with, and it's very odd. But so for me, when you come to me and be like, you know, what's your last name worth? It ain't worth nothing. But B as a man, I'm worth a lot. You know, I think I broke a lot of generational curses. I think that I'm making a good life for myself and my kids and my wife. I think that it is. I always thought that a woman looked at a man in a way as far as him as his person, because you can't judge a man off his family, because I feel like I'm not part of a legacy. I'm building a legacy. I have nothing before me. My family has nothing to pass down. My family hasn't made nothing of their lives. They've done nothing, you know. So I feel like everything that I've accomplished is because I want it. It's because I'm going after it. So I mean, I feel like that question is a real question coming from a woman's standpoint, because here in American history, I don't know where you're watching this from, but here in America, it's like the woman always takes the man's last name. You know, it's very rare you see the man take the woman's last name, though it does happen. And I feel like, honestly, I don't want my wife to have a hyphenated last name. I think that's a bit odd. Like my mother, she has a hyphenated last name, which is weird because it's not her maiden last name. Her hyphenated last name is my biological dad's last name and my stepdad's last name. I think that's all the way disrespectful. Like, hell no. But anyway, not my business. I don't have a relationship there either. But no, I think it's a valid question. I think it's gonna stump a lot of men, especially a lot of black men, because of the fact that before us it wasn't much. You know, we don't really have that guidance sometimes. You know, it's like I don't want to say stereotype, but a stereotype. You know, our people went through a lot in the 90s and 80s and things like that. So our fathers were a bit different. So if you had a good one, you had a good one. But, you know, a lot of them weren't the best. But not by just off them, but based off, you know, the world they're brought up in. So I think right now, I'm 34. I feel like our generation is the one that needs to be breaking everything, changing everything, and making that growth. So I think my last name is nothing. I don't think it's anything, but I'm making it something. I'm building it to something, like it's gonna stand for something, you know. So not only that, but just me as a man, you know. I think it's a good question once I got to thinking about it. Before I was like, I would have left your ass in that parking lot too. But now, you know, when you really think about it and sit down and see it from a woman's point of view, like, I'm taking on that last name. I'm gonna walk with you for the rest of your life. Like, I'm taking that on with you. Like, I think it's a valid question. I just think it's a question that you never asked. But anyway, that's my take. I'll stand with her in a way.
Do you guys think that was a terrible question? Because some people are saying it's a terrible question. Some people are saying it is not a terrible question, it's a reasonable question. It is not a terrible question, because if we look at from the kind of questions these men ask women comfortably with their full chests, this is not a terrible question. And having your last name or being with a woman most of the time women change their last name to their man's name, and you always hear when a man when you ask a man, why do you want children, to tell you, I want to continue my legacy, I want to continue my legacy, I don't want my father's name to die. In fact, they'll tell you, I want to have a man, a boy, get me a boy, you should just have a boy. I'm like, what do you want a boy for? Oh, I want to continue my dad's name. So what is it in that name that you like? What is it in that name? There's nothing. Most of them don't have anything attached to the name. They don't have anything. Most of them don't even have properties. Most of them don't even have anything important attached to that name. But you see them, oh, I want to continue my legacy. Oh, this is my legacy. Every small, just ask any man, why do you want a child? Why do you want a male child? Because of my legacy. I want to continue my lineage. That's the way they say it that pisses me off, you guys. They don't have, there's nothing attached to that name. So now that a woman is asking, now you're getting pissed. But you all can ask women, like, what do you bring to the table? What is your body count? Like that's a normal question you guys ask women on dates or even when you're chatting. What do you bring to the table? What is your body count? How many boyfriends do you have? Or why don't you want to have children? Why would you say you want to be child free? Why are you currently single at 30? But just a tiny little name, like your name. What is it that make you want to pass your name on? You don't know. You guys, you think this question doesn't make sense? Or it's a very good question. Me personally, I feel like there's nothing wrong with the question. In fact, I feel like I'll start asking this question very well, so that they can leave the dates. I'm just kidding. Let me know your thoughts about this video down in the comment section. Respectfully, as always, Sugar Mara David, and thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this one. Please like and share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.